Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another review of The Oval. So let's get started. Yuma has been shot, and it was Kyle that did it, of course. Who else would do it? And he's dragging her across the floor, and she's saying, I need help, I need help. But of course, he doesn't care. He's going on about how he heard her and Max talking, and Yuma saying, well, the FBI knows that she's there, and Kyle is not listening to anything that she says. And he ties her up and gags her, and then later on he's in the car and he's calling Donald and saying, well, I'm taking care of everything. And then he brings up Lily and he's like, do I need to take care of her? And Donald's like, no. And again, Kyle's like, he does not like Lily, and he's saying, you have a soft spot for her. And Don's like, as long as I have a hard spot for you, you don't have anything to worry about. Whatever. But clearly Kyle hates Lily and wants to harm her, but so far I don't think Donald is going to let him do that. At least not yet. We haven't seen Lily for a few episodes, so we don't know what she's going to do. So anyway, Kyle ends up talking to Max in the control room, and he's telling him all this stuff about, well, I had a meeting, secret meeting with the attorney general, and Denise, she would bring the president drugs, and he was on drugs, and he accidentally killed her. And Kyle is trying to lead Max to believe that he really wants to uncover all of this, and he's like, come on, man, we can do this, we can do this. We can end up running the FBI and all this. And Max is like, I don't trust you. But he it seemed like Max was leaning towards trying to buy into this mess. So later on, Max is in the car and he had been trying to reach Yuma. And then he gets a call from Kyle saying, now or never, now or never. And then he gets a call from Yuma and she's saying that she's at the store and to have for him to come there. So, of course, it was a setup, and him and Kyle end up in a fight, but Max was holding his own with Kyle. So, um, but at the end, he Kyle did get Max down. So we'll see what happens next week. So, Yuma really was right about staying out of this mess, because she's just all tore up now, and all because Max didn't want to just leave that alone, mind his own business, and she had to get involved in it, and she was a fool to get involved in it. So let's get on to Gail. So Gail, she talks to the attorney, and he says, okay, well, I'll send you. She wants to know how to hire him, and he says, okay, I'll send you a form to start the process. And he emailed it to her, and then she signed it real quick and sent it back, and she's like, okay, I signed it. I guess it was one of those forms you can digitally sign. Well, obviously it was one of those forms you can digitally sign because she sent it, and he was like, okay, that's good. And wait. And he asked her if she really is the first daughter and if her parents know what she is doing. And she tells him, yes, it's me. My parents are terrible. They get into fist fights and they abuse me and my brother and all of this horrible stuff. So then later on, the attorney, he calls up the press secretary and he's saying, well, Gail contacted me. And of course, she's denying this. She's saying that never happened. And well, as the press secretary is going to do, I guess she's like a black Sarah Sanders or something, like, just lie, deny all that. And so she tells him, she basically threatens him. He's like, do you really want to stake your career on this? And he calls her out on, was that a threat? And she's like, No, I'm just saying that this girl has a history of making things up. Do you know about that? And so he's like saying, okay, well, I'll contact you again in 24 hours, and he's gonna get a hearing and all that to get the process going. So Gail, she goes back to Jason and gives him back his laptop, and she's telling him about everything that she talked to the attorney about. And he's like, oh, well, you need money for an attorney. And she's like, oh, stupid. People will do things for us because we're famous. Like, as in, they'll do it for free. And so she wants him to go in with her. And of course, she wants a witness, to back her up and corroborate what she's saying. And he's not for it, and he wants her to call the attorney back and say that she lied, and he's refusing to be the witness for her. And so she starts talking about Jean, and she's like, you like Jean. Well, when I was in her car, I heard her talking about mom and dad horrible, and she's not supposed to do that. And she really needs this job because she lives in that horrible little apartment. That wait, how did she say that pathetic little apartment? And Jason's like, you know what, you're terrible. Um, so I guess it looks like he might try to help her out now because he does like Jean, or more like he's perving on Jean. He's just really creepy, and so I guess he might help her to try to protect Jean. And so let's see. Okay, so in the Oval Office, Hunter is trying to get another mistress lined up. And so he calls the aide to the press secretary into the office. And he's, chatting her up, and he tells her, you would make a great new press secretary because the other one is only acting. And she said, oh no, I'm only an aide. And he's like, oh well, you've gone to school and da 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 and all that, and you look the part. And I think she knows what was up with what Hunter really wanted. Because she was standing up there kind of smiling like, she was aware of what his intentions are, and she was just rolling with it. So, Victoria earlier, she had told a maid to make sure that no one went into the bedroom. So she had been trying to get all the, handle all that, cover all that up. And she had the Secret Service brought her up to the Oval, so they could talk about Gail, because the press secretary, she had barged into Donald's office and told him, everything that um, about Gail, and that they needed to talk to Hunter and Victoria about it. So Victoria got up there to the Oval, and she wanted to know why Ellie was there. And Ellie's like, and she doesn't know what to say, so Hunter just dismisses her. And once Ellie is gone, that's the aide to the press secretary. Victoria's like, you are the stupidest asshole. I'm up there trying to protect you, and you're down here trying to find your next victim. And and she's like, does she know you'll get high and decapitate a bitch? So anyway, after that, the press secretary and Donald come in, and she fills him in on everything that and them on every she fills both of them on everything that Gail said to the attorney. She's And Victoria was so rude to this secretary. She's like, speak, bitch. And so she lays out everything, and Gail was still lying about being raped. She was saying, well, I was raped and they did nothing about it. I'm like, you lied about it, but she's still lying about that part. Um, and and of course, they go back and forth again, Hunter and Victoria. Well, and he's blaming Victoria for Gail's ways. She wouldn't be like this if it wasn't for you. And Victoria's like, well, maybe if you spend more time with your kids rather than some whore's cheap underwear. And then Donald, she tries to say something, and she's like, speaking of underwear. And he's like, ma'am, the insults are not necessary. And she's like, they're 2 for 1. The insults are 2 for 1. Um, Victoria just cannot stand Donald, and he really cannot defend himself against her because she just comes at him full force. And if he wants to keep his job, he's not gonna like go off on her. He's gonna just like take whatever she says. And so after the press secretary, after Victoria's gone, she leaves, and then the press secretary leaves, and then we see the press secretary take some out from underneath the pillow. And Hunter is telling Donald, I want a new press secretary. I don't like this current one. She's fat. Like, Hunter is just really shallow and immature, and he's calling this woman fat, and she's not even fat. I'm like, really? Anyway, Victoria, she gets back upstairs to the bedroom, and the door is open. She asks, why is my door open? He says, well, Secret Service must have left it open. And she's asking the maid what's going on. The maid says, well, Secret Service ordered us to clean it. And she is she is so rude to this maid. I think she said something like, well, the mistake we made was the one that, well, the only mistake was the one your parents made, or something like that. I think that's what she said. And it's like, she's like so rude. And so um, so now let me talk about the rest of this mess with the press secretary. So down the press secretary's office, of this the aide, she summons her in, and she's like, lift up your dress. And Ellie's like, what? That's totally inappropriate. The press secretary has the underwear, and she says, well, I'm going to send this to the FBI lab and have them test them for your DNA. And when they come back as if they come back with your DNA, when they come back with your DNA, you're fired. And so, you know, it's just, oh, and then before I finish this up, I gotta talk about Nancy and Richard and all of that. So Richard had got up and gone to the bathroom, and Nancy was coming back at the same time as he was, and he's like, I had to go to the bathroom. And she's like, that's what bed pans are for. And he's like, I'm like, who would want to go to a bed on a bedpan if they couldn't get up and go to the bathroom? I mean, those are not comfortable. So Sam comes in and he fills them in on the latest. That body was not Ruth. That knife had animal blood on it. Nancy's like, and then once Sam tells them what the plan is, okay, well, Barry can say that that was his cousin in the car when that shot went into that man's house and killed him. And Nancy's getting all high and mighty, and you know, he the he informs her that Richard informs her that Picky is dead, and she's like, well, so we're just gonna let so even though he's dead, we're just gonna you're just gonna let my sister's boy take the fall. And she just does not want this she just does not this want this plan to go through. And I'm like, you know what? It isn't, it is like underhanded, but Barry really doesn't need to go to jail. I mean, he's messed up. He wants to find his daughter, and jail's not the place for him. And so Sam, he had gone over to the pharmacy to talk to Kareem, and he's he asked him to drop the charges, and Kareem's like, no, I want him locked up for a long time. And Sam's like, it would, it would be good for somebody. It would be good for you to have a favor from someone like me, Secret Service agent. He's in a position to help out Kareem in certain ways. Secret Service agents can do some things. And Kareem's like, no. And you're trying to muscle up on me. And Sam was not trying to muscle up on him. Sam was very professional and calm and all that. So he's getting nowhere with Kareem. So he just leaves. And then Kareem is like all paranoid. And he thinks that Sharon put Sam up to coming there. So let me make sure, scan through it real quick and make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I think I got everything. But anyway, that was the episode. And I wanted to talk a little bit about a preview I saw of the show during uh the BET Awards. I guess they were showing previews of the show over the next few episodes. And Victoria, they showed a clip of her. She was in her slip and was like coming on to Sam. And I said, I knew she was going to do that. And before I wrap up, I just want to talk a little bit about uh, the uh, the reunion show of If Loving Was Wrong. That's on demand. If you have on demand, you can watch that. It was good to hear the actors talk about the creative process and how they approach the characters. And, there were a lot of positive vibes there. All the actors are really positive, and uh, they were talking about how some of them were talking about how it changed their life. The show changed their life. The actress that played Alex, she said she was working in a restaurant as a waitress when she got the call for the part, and that she had got the part. And so I'll let you watch that, but it's a good reunion show to watch. So go check that out. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.